snow had not yet fallen, but the city already felt frozen in time, caught between the rush of Christmas Eve and the quiet ache that lived in people who were trying to survive it. Jonah Reed noticed her just as the traffic light turned green, a woman standing on the corner beneath a faded red awning, holding a wicker basket filled with small loaves of bread wrapped in brown paper. She was not shouting or begging. She was simply there, still and patient, while the world hurried past her. Beside Jonah, his young daughter Maribel clutched the straps of her backpack, her eyes fixed on the woman with a seriousness far older than her years. The question formed on her face before it reached her lips, and Jonah felt his chest tighten because he already knew this moment would change something inside him forever. Before the story continues, take a second and ask yourself this simple question. Do you believe kindness can change lives and that second chances are real? If you do, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, Single Dad Diaries, to support stories that remind us humanity still matters. Jonah had been a single father for 4 years, ever since a quiet hospital room and a beeping machine took away the woman who once made Christmas mornings feel magical. Since then, every holiday had become a careful balancing act between joy and survival. Jonah worked long hours as a delivery supervisor, always counting minutes and dollars, always trying to be enough for Maribel. That Christmas Eve afternoon, he had promised her hot cocoa and a walk through the town square before heading home. He had promised warmth, light, and normalcy. What he had not planned for was the silent pull of compassion tugging at his heart when Maribel asked why someone would be selling bread while everyone else was buying gifts. The woman's name was Sophia Calder, though Jonah did not know it yet. What he saw was the way her coat hung too thin for December, the way her hands were red and cracked, the way her eyes kept lifting toward every passerby and then lowering again when they walked past. This was not desperation shouted into the cold air. This was quiet endurance. Jonah felt something stir in him, something he had buried under bills and responsibilities. He parked the car and stepped out with Maribel, the daytime sun pale but determined as it reflected off shop windows filled with glitter and plastic cheer. Up close, the bread smelled warm and real, like kitchens Jonah barely remembered from his childhood. Sophia's face carried exhaustion, but also pride. She stood straighter when Jonah approached, as if dignity itself was what she was selling alongside the loaves. Maribel's small hand slipped into Jonah's, grounding him. He realized then that his daughter was watching not just the woman, but him. She was learning how the world worked by the choices he made when no one demanded them. Jonah bought one loaf at first, then another, unsure why he needed more bread than they could eat. Sophia tried to thank him with her eyes, but Jonah noticed something else. The basket was still almost full, and the sun was slowly tilting toward evening. Christmas Eve daylight does not last long, and Jonah knew that once it faded, so would Sophia's chances. The challenge he faced was not money alone. It was fear. Fear of stepping into someone else's pain, fear of offering help that might not be wanted, fear of failing yet again at something he felt called to do. Jonah asked about the bread in a gentle way, careful not to turn kindness into charity. Sophia explained, haltingly, that she baked it herself every morning using borrowed kitchen space from a closed cafe, that it was the only way she knew how to earn after losing her job and her apartment within the same year. There was no self-pity in her explanation, only fact. Jonah felt the weight of her story settle inside him. Heavy but undeniable. As the afternoon moved on, something shifted. A few people noticed Jonah standing there, talking, buying bread, staying longer than necessary. Others slowed down. Some stopped. Coins and bills began to appear in Sophia's basket. The bread slowly disappeared, loaf by loaf. Jonah did not orchestrate it. He simply stayed. Sometimes presence is louder than words. Maribel watched everything with wide eyes. This was her Christmas lesson, unfolding in real time under a winter sky. Jonah realized that the struggle he thought defined his life was shared by countless others, and that maybe survival did not have to be lonely if people chose to see each other. When the last loaf was sold, Sophia's shoulders sagged with relief. The basket was empty, but her eyes were full. Jonah hesitated only a moment before offering something more. He remembered the spare room in his small house, the one filled with boxes and forgotten plans. He remembered the extra hours he could take at work, the meals he could stretch, the fact that being a single dad had already taught him resilience. He offered Sophia a place to stay for the night, just until she could breathe again, just until Christmas morning passed. Sophia cried then, quietly, the kind of cry that comes when someone finally feels safe enough to let go. Jonah felt the moment seal itself into memory. This was not about being a hero. This was about choosing not to walk away. The walk home that evening felt different. The sky glowed amber and gold as shops closed and families gathered. Maribel skipped ahead, humming softly. Jonah felt lighter than he had in years, even though nothing about his life had become easier in a practical sense. Something had changed inside him. He had shown his daughter what kindness looked like when it cost something, when it required courage. That night, as daylight faded into early evening and Christmas lights flickered on, 3 people sat at Jonah's small kitchen table eating bread that tasted like hope. It was not a perfect ending. It was a beginning. If this story is touching your heart right now, if you feel that quiet ache of empathy and belief in something better, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your engagement helps stories like this reach others who might be standing on their own street corner, unseen. Special request before we end, please comment below with one act of kindness you believe can change a life. Christmas morning arrived with sunlight spilling through the curtains, ordinary and extraordinary all at once. Jonah watched Maribel laugh, watched Sophia smile for the first time without fear, and understood that sometimes the greatest gifts are the ones we give away.